My friends, Chaseontwowheels here in front of Mountain Motorsports in Roswell, Georgia. In front of me, I have what is essentially, and not essentially, what is my favorite motorcycle on the market right now. It is the 2023 Multistrada V4 Pikes Peak Edition from the beautiful people over at Ducati. Now, I was lucky enough to go to the press launch of this motorcycle. You guys seem to absolutely love it. Obviously, it's my favorite motorcycle right now, so I loved it. So today, I finally, after a year, get to do a first ride on this here on the streets that I'm used to find out, was it all just a love story over in California, or do I actually love this bike for a daily riding motorcycle as much as I did the press launch? It's a first ride. We got to see what this thing sounds like, and we got to see what it looks like. Alrighty guys, that's what it looks like, that's what it sounds like. Now this video is not sponsored, but it is supported by WBRgarage.com. That is my website where I build motorcycles into dream bikes and then I give them away to the people that support that show. If you guys want to support the show, we are currently building a 2018 Yamaha R6. We're turning it into like an R6M. It's going to be absolutely sick. If you guys want to get entries to win that motorcycle, you just got to go to WBRgarage.com, grab some merch, whether it be a cup or a hoodie or a shirt, or you can grab a membership. Anything you get on that website gets you entries automatically to win the bike once we get done building it. Thank you to anybody that is already a member over there. It massively helps the channel out. But now, advertising is done. Let's get on the bike. I'm telling you guys, I cannot be more excited. Oh, shoot. I did remember the quad lock this time, though. If you need a phone mount, it's the way to go. All right. My favorite motorcycle, please, 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 please don't let this be a situation where I meet my hero and my hero is not a friend of mine. I don't want that to happen here. Alrighty, Multistrada V4 screen, absolutely beautiful screen. Modes-wise, we do have a little modification on the modes. If you hit the mode button here, and then our toggle switch, we've got urban, we've got touring, sport, and specific to this model, we have race. Not going to be in race mode at all today. We're going to progress from urban up to touring, then to sport for the highway run. So we'll start out in touring mode. Get this beautiful bike turned on. So guys, I'm 5'10", got a 32-inch inseam, and I can, if I stretch my little legs all the way, I think I can flat foot, but not really. I can just barely not flat foot. That's kind of surprising because the Multistrada has always been this like bigger motorcycle, and this one obviously is a much better bike. But yeah, I'm slight tippy toe. If I grew a quarter of an inch, I could probably flat foot. That's how close I am to flat footing it. Alrighty guys, let's get this first ride started on this absolutely gorgeous motorcycle. And while we head to the exit, if you guys are into Discord, I highly recommend you checking out our Discord. We have a Discord server full of motorcycle enthusiasts, probably just like yourself, that just enjoy motorcycles and want to chit-chat about motorcycles. So it's totally free. You should check it out in that description link down below. Let's just do it. All right, that's urban mode? Why? Oh my goodness. Alrighty guys, so we are on the V4 Multistrada Pikes Peak Edition. the race-inspired Multistrada. Yes, a race-inspired Multistrada. Back during the press launch, I titled this bike the King of the Road. I said there's not another motorcycle better for street use. We are going to find that out today while I click my visor shut. There it goes. So this is going to differ quite a bit from the regular Multistrada. This is not just some badge calling it a Pikes Peak. This bike is designed around the 17-inch front and rear tires that this bike has that makes it entirely different than the Multistrada V4S. And we will be talking about all those things throughout this video, but it's a first ride. Let's get it started with talking about the body position. So first off, we have the regular big Multistrada seat. It's very comfortable. This one is slightly firm, but that allows me to get my body weight around this motorcycle with no problem. I am a huge fan of the seat. When it comes to my lower part, I'm actually relatively comfortable, but my legs are, I guess you should say my feet are slightly back. It allows me to be in a much more comfortable position than I would have really expected for a very sport-oriented motorcycle, but it gives me that touring vibe. Secondly, my top half only slightly leaned forward. My arms are kind of bent down and forward here, but I've got really good control with this handlebar. As you guys can see, the handlebar actually comes back a little bit towards the rider. It's a slightly sporty version of the body position you would expect out of a Multistrada, and the reasoning for that is so that they can center everything around that sport performance of this bike. That is what Ducati did this whole bike about. It's all about like, hey, the person that's going to get this wants to be slightly sportier. Let's position everything for that. Before we go, let's go from urban to touring. For some reason I keep calling urban touring. I don't know why. All right, we are now in touring mode, and you guys can see how easy it is to change modes on this bike. It's absolutely insane. So we're now in touring mode. Actually, we can talk about electronics really fast. This bike's got everything, guys. Wheelie control, it's got the ABS, cornering ABS, it's got traction control. You've got the entire Ducati electronic suite in this thing, so if you're a techie guy, you've got everything you could want. So city performance-wise, this is where I personally feel like the V4 platform, the V4 Gran Turismo specifically in the Pikes Peak edition on this Multistrada, the V4 really comes into its own in city riding, because city riding most of the time, you don't want to be a hooligan all the time in the city, and the V4 is such a compliant platform. It is not what you would expect out of the V4, because this is like a, 1158 cc V4. It is a monster of an engine, putting out a lot of torque, a lot of horsepower. The thing that makes this bike entirely different than all the Ducatis in the past is I'm in third gear, going 40 miles an hour at 4,000, and the bike is totally compliant. It's relaxed. I've got no stress riding like this. The bike's not shaking. It is an absolute dream. I'm in touring mode, and if you guys didn't know, we do have electronic suspension on this bike, which means the electronic suspension can be easily adjusted, and it changes based on what's going on. I am so glad I got in the other lane. The suspension changes in touring mode to be a little softer. It makes the ride plush. And then, if you ever want a lot of power, you have it all on tap at any moment. But I think a lot of you guys that ride this or end up buying one are going to be absolutely flabbergasted with, one, how powerful the V4 is, but you can't do that. That's a terrible thing to do. Sorry. I think a lot of you guys are going to be surprised at how manageable the power output is of this bike. Now, if you want all of it, you can put it in sport mode, and I'll show you guys that later. But for you just going around town and being chill on the throttle, it's totally happy doing that, which is really rare. 490 pounds, not a light motorcycle, but one of my favorite things about the Multi is the steering stem lock. You have so much precise work with this bike. The throttle works down to a freaking millimeter. Look at that, 0 miles an hour. I am just barely going on this bike. I get so excited doing that. I sit here and talk with you guys. When I'm doing the camera car run, I can do it so much better. The balance that Ducati has on this Multistrada Pikes Peak Edition is absolutely nuts. And it's kind of weird that you're on this bigger motorcycle, but it handles its weight so well, and you have so much steering stem lock. You have these really comfortable handlebars. It allows you to maneuver this thing in very tight areas. So if you live in a big city, or you going through like a small parking lot or something like that, places that the Multistrada should not be great in, it actually excels better than almost any motorcycle that I know of. It's just a highlight feature of this bike in this situation. You gonna go for that? Hell yeah, you are. Awesome. Let's lean it over. Oh my God, that V4 hits so good. Jesus Christ. And that is a police officer, and I am going to drive like the best person I've ever driven. Oh my Lord. And I'm not driving, I'm riding. Oh my goodness, don't get a ticket on your favorite motorcycle. Chase, what are you doing? Come on, you noob. So this is one of those situations where it's one of those bikes that is absolutely going to surprise the hell out of you, because you're not going to expect what you get out of such a big motorcycle. The cop is right next to me, so I'm not able to talk right now. I am just locked on to people braking for no reason. Oh shit, cops oh, I am getting pulled over. Hold on. Alrighty, now that I'm done with my brief stint with the officer, I am back to my first ride. So, as you guys can see, the Multistrada Pikes Peak is so maneuverable. I was easily able to maneuver through that parking lot so I could park for that police officer who just pulled me over. Oh my gosh, that was great. Seriously, guys, the city is going to be a real highlight for this bike, with the power delivery, at least in touring mode, with the engine and the maneuverability you get with the bike, with your seating position and your handlebars. It is a fantastic time, and it's going to be a highlight if you're checking this bike out. But we've got to do a highway pull, which directly after a cop situation is going to be interesting, but we'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and get the bike into sport mode. We are not about to go up next to the cop that pulled us over. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, guys, we are in sport mode. Oh no, the cop's leaving. Oh goodness, it's unfortunate, really. I will say, while we're sitting at this light for a while, the Multistrada is handling the heat really well. It is a warm day today. I was on a Monster SP the other day, and I was just boiling at this red light, because I got the same red light for a while. And this V4 is managing the heat really well. I think it actually has exhaust fans that like shoots out or something like that. Whatever it's doing a good job. Alrighty, guys, it is 40 to 80 pull time on the Ducati Multistrada Pikes Peak Edition, brought to you by our buddies over at Law Tigers. They are the motorcycle attorneys that you should contact if you so need them. Hopefully today I will not be needing them, but they are bringing us the 40 to 80 pull. And this one's going to be fast. I'm going to hold my butt. I'm in sport mode. Sheesh. All right, guys, 40 to 80 pull on a Ducati Multistrada Pikes Peak Edition. On your mark, get set, shit, go. God! Jesus! Woo! All right, deep breaths, bud. Deep breaths. My God. You guys can't see it, but I got full arm chills right now. Alrighty, like a fish to water, we are on the highway with the Multistrada. This is where this bike was built for. So guys, first up, let's talk about power on the highway. LOL. Like, what do you want me to say? We're in 6th gear. We are at 5,000 RPM. The bike is just barely going, and I've got so much power at any time. I am so good on power. Next up, let's talk about stability. We do have a slightly shorter wheelbase, I believe, than the regular Multistrada because of the wheels and the raking. So stability-wise, I am locked in right here. The Multistrada is a big bike. It blocks a lot of the wind, and the windscreen is fantastic. One finger up, and the wind is actually going directly over my head. I can't feel it at all. And there, it's hitting me at about the visor. I could ride this motorcycle for an indefinite amount of time on the highway, and I would enjoy every single inch of time. It's absolutely fantastic. Next up, very cool feature of the Multistrada is radar cruise control. So you guys are going to notice I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to set it. And now I'm going to set this at what? What's the max I can set it at? Oh no, I've got it set to 95 or 98. And it is using the radar in the front to match the speed of the car ahead of me. And then I can hit the plus and minus, and it will change how close the bike will get to the car ahead of me. This feature is absolutely incredible. It worked amazing back in the day when I did the press launch. It's working amazing now. I got no issues with that. Now, talking about vibration on the highway, a lot of you guys asked me about that. Whatever they're doing with this V4, it is so incredibly smooth. I'm having to feel for vibrations in the handlebars and in my feet, and I can only just barely feel anything. I don't think any of you guys are going to be surprised, but this thing is a highway destruction machine, and there is not many motorcycles better than this on the highway. Now, I'm going to finish up the highway while we jump to a montage thanks to our buddies over at Cardo. Cardo, play me the best soundtrack for a Multistrada on the highway. Cardo for that montage. If you guys need a Bluetooth communicator and music listening device for your helmet, there is nothing better on the market than Cardo. I highly recommend them. I got a discount code for you in the description. Now, fun fact, we're in sport mode, but when we were doing the camera car run, I was in touring mode, and this turn felt a little wiggly because touring mode is supposed to get you smooth going. I'm interested to see what sport mode feels like. Sport mode's got that little bit of a wiggle too. I wonder if that's the tires then. There's a little bit of wiggle when I get the bike leaned all the way over, and I don't know what it is. I thought it was the suspension at first, and now I'm wondering if it's the tires. Either way, something's weird there because I've thrown one of these bikes over in a turn way harder than that, and it felt really stable. So I wonder if something's up. All right, we're gonna go back into touring mode because I want ultimate comfort for the rest of this ride. Close throttle and boom. All right, guys, let's pick apart this V4. So this V4, one of the main issues that people have with this V4 versus the old 1260 is it doesn't have as much torque down low, which a lot of people really enjoy torque, and I do too. But the V4 has a much more smoothed out power delivery than the older bike. When I first rode a V4 Multi, I thought the same thing. I was like, I'm not a really big fan of losing out on all that fun torque that the bike used to have. Now that I've spent some time at the press launch riding this, I've spent this first ride riding it around, one, I feel like I can go way faster with a V4 because of how smooth it is. And I do think overall it is a far better machine than the 1260. Is it as torquey down low? Do you sacrifice that? Yes, absolutely. But do you sacrifice actual performance though? Zero. Absolutely none. I absolutely love the V4 power plant and basically everything they're putting it in. I love this bike. Suspension wise, suspension is incredible. This bike is so I am on a cloud. I am just floating along like that little character in Mario. I can feel no bumps. I am just in pure motorcycle riding bliss. When I put it in sport mode and I can really like wake the bike up and I can make use of those lighter wheels and the lighter overall motorcycle package, I love that the suspension is electronic, so I can change it actively while I'm riding depending on the circumstance. If I'm going to the mountains, I'm going to put this thing in touring mode. I'm going to enjoy the entire highway there, and when I get to the mountains, I'm going to put this thing in sport mode and everything changes for me. I absolutely love that. It is my favorite, and it works fantastic. That being said, Ducati's Skyhook suspension on their V4S Multi, also phenomenal. Ducati is just, they're putting the best suspension on their bikes, and I really appreciate them for it. So let's talk about gearing on the Multistrada. I feel like they have this thing set up extremely well. Obviously, I think they're going to give a little more attention to their gearing on a bike that's more sport-oriented like this, and I appreciate that. I've always found myself in the right gear on the city streets, on the highway. It's very easy to find that good place for the gearing, and I haven't found myself wanting for longer or shorter gears. I got no problem there. I will say the quick shifter takes a little energy, a little more energy than I would have expected to get it to initiate a shift. And I'm not in love with the shifter, or the quick shifter. I've ridden other bikes where I've liked the quick shifter a little more. It takes too much of a press, and then I don't really like the action afterwards. I think it downshifts better than it upshifts. I got no problem with the downshift feeling, but that upshift feeling, it leaves me wanting something, and I don't know what it is. What doesn't leave me wanting anything is the brakes. The brakes we have on the Multistrada Pikes Peak here come straight from the Panigale. They are everything, and if you want more brakes than what this bike has, you are doing something wrong. This is top shelf stuff you get on this bike. I don't know why I got a yellow. I'm gonna go. I don't feel good about it. One of the things I didn't mention back there, guys, is the bike does have a hill hold, so if you're on a hill, you can pull in the front brake lever and it'll activate hill hold and the bike won't roll back on you. Really neat feature for a bike that weighs this much. I didn't even talk about the engine and the torque numbers on it. This bike, this V4 Gran Turismo, 170 horsepower and 92 foot-pounds of torque. An absolute monster by any regard. All right, guys, let's talk about the cluster up here. You're talking about a $31,000 Ducati, right? I don't need to say anything that I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Every button, every material, everything is the best that it gets in this current mode and state right now we are in motorcycling. Now, I know you're going to probably look on the left and be like, Chase, that's a lot of shit going on. And you're right. There's a lot of controls over here. But to be fair, this bike can do a ton of stuff. Navigating the menu is simple. You have the dial here. You get the Ducati menu, so if you're changing engine performance or brake performance or wheelie control, all of those things are incredibly obvious. I've got a shot here for you guys. Ducati highlights what you're changing in red, and then the names they give things, it's like power full, power medium, power low. These things sound obvious, and they are, but a lot of motorcycle manufacturers are not doing it, and Ducati is effing slaying the game. Nobody can change my mind. I dare you to try. All right, next up, we have master cylinder Brembos for both the clutch and the brake. You guys can see them up here. They work great. They have such a good feel. The clutch is a little heavy. I will say that. Just keep that in mind. If you're going to be in traffic a lot, you might get tired fingers. But the brake lever feels fantastic. I would like to say I want us motorcycle companies to start maybe putting a little bit of material on the levers to hold them well. I feel like I want more of a material so my gloves can grip something. Speaking of grips are fantastic. I love the way the handlebar is set up. And I don't gotta say much about the screen because, like, I feel like Ducati on their screens, Ducati might be number 2 on screens. I think BMW has a crisper screen than them. But as far as informational layout, I don't think anybody does it better than laying it out for Ducati. I love the way they lay out their information. There's so much information to look at all times, and I've never, from the moment I got on this bike, had a problem finding the info that I need. One of my most favorite things about this screen is how well built into the bike it is. You techie guys might understand it better than I do, but the material that the screen is made of is like this kind of matte material, and it just hides the screen in the motorcycle. There is nobody that has a more plush screen input on a bike than this bike is right now. Also, you guys saw on the highway, but the windscreen on this, it looks tiny and small, but one finger you pull it up, I mean, with my pinky I can push this thing down. That is the best windscreen adjuster that is on the market, in my opinion. All right, I could continue talking forever, trust me. Like, I dare you to dare me to do that, and I will. But we're gonna pull off up here so we can do a little walk around of the Pikes Peak. It's the best looking bike on the market, so why would we not do that? I mean, the camera car footage hasn't been bad, let's be honest. But If I get to walk around a motorcycle, I'm gonna walk around a motorcycle. Guys, we got leaf changing colors. That means the coolness is coming. Oh no. All right, this is where the Multistrada will absolutely blow your mind. All right, big bike, 400, 500 pounds, giant steering stem lock all the way over. I could turn on a penny or a dime or whatever the smallest coin in existence. This bike doesn't like to get into neutral, I will say that. That being said, it does have how many total miles? 37. Give it time. I will say it does have a pretty light kickstand. You guys can even see that. Watch this. I mean, I will say when I leaned it over, it's solid. I don't feel worried about it. But getting it out, I'm just like, man, that's a big old bike and a lot of stuff to deal with for such a little kickstand. Alrighty, guys, 2023 Ducati Multistrada V4 Pikes Peak Edition, a.k.a. Chaseontwowheels' favorite motorcycle on the market as of whatever today is. Some of the updates for the Multistrada. Again, 17-inch front and rear wheel. They did that so you guys can fit sporty tires on these things. We do have the Diablo Rosso 4s on this bike. A very grippy tire, very sport-oriented tire. We have the electronic Öhlins front and rear. We have the brakes from the Panigale up in the front and the rear. We have the rear swing arm from the Panigale as well, even more sport oriented. Öhlins in the rear. We have this V4 doubled pillion seat that looks absolutely fantastic. I don't need to tell you guys, we have this beautiful livery that it's the bestest, if you know what I mean. We've got the Marchensini. I don't know how to say it. You guys know I'm from Georgia. We don't say things correctly. We got Marchensini forged wheels, which drop the weight by 6 pounds, and then the added carbon components drop it another 3 pounds. This bike is 10 pounds lighter than the other Multistrada. Also, of course, we have this Acro exhaust, which I've told you guys, Multistradas have my favorite exhaust because they're super thin. I don't understand it. I love it. I don't know why. And I'm a fan of the Multistrada, like, pterodactyl looking face. Even like underneath on the bike, you got the headers there and you got the blacked out radiator. There is nothing on this bike that doesn't look great, in my personal opinion. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. For me right now, this is motorcycle perfection. I can ride it for an indefinite amount of time, and I can do as sporty riding as I could ever imagine to do on this thing at any point. For me right now, like, if I could do off-road, I would want an entirely different motorcycle. I wouldn't want everything this does. What I'm going to do now, that's the end of our walk around. Ta-da. Woo, it's amazing. Like we didn't know this. I'm going to grab my phone off my quad lock. Shout out quad lock if you need to follow them out. I got a link for you in the description. It does give you a discount. Don't pay full price if somebody sponsors Chaseontwowheels. I'm out here fighting for my life for y'all to get a discount. But I'm going to do some vertical videos for our guys over on TikTok and Instagram. If you guys are on there, we are at Chaseontwowheels on TikTok, and we're at C2Pikes on Instagram. Go check us out. We put some cool content out there. I'll be right back. Oh, my friends, I could literally make videos forever. Honestly, I could just indefinitely make them, and I would never get sick of it. Oh, I love this motorcycle. So, a couple more things we got left. Purchaser pass, steering stem lock test. Who is this bike for? Other than me, of course. All right, steering stem lock, Jesus Christ, and we're going. My goodness. Top 30 echelon, baby, for a giant motorcycle that makes no sense, but I'm here for it. All right, my friends, the saddest part of this video for me, and that is the end of it. We got to wrap this thing up, unfortunately. I did tell Mountain to be ready. If I don't come back, don't be surprised, but I got a good relationship there, and I don't really want to make them upset if I steal a $31,000 motorcycle. Here's the big question. Is the bike a purchaser pass for Chase? Now, I will say an asterisk for this. Yes, this bike is absolutely every single thing I could ever want on the road. If it has asphalt underneath me, I want to do it on this bike, and if I'm not doing it on this bike, it is not the bike I want to be doing it on. Am I going to buy this motorcycle? Absolutely not. I do not have $31,000, but I can tell you guys unequivocally, if I had $32,000 in cash, I would own this motorcycle. There is not a single thing on this bike that I don't like other than the cost. And that is both the cost of buying it and the cost of ownership. Granted, Ducati's getting a lot better about cost of ownership recently, especially with this V4 platform. It is still a Ducati. Getting any work done on it is going to be more expensive, and I am a cheap bastard. So guys, this is typically the part of the video where I tell you, oh, well, here's the highlights of this bike for me. This bike's entire existence is a highlight for me. I love everything about it. The only thing that is not a crazy positive is the feedback I'm getting from the quick shifter when I go up gears. That is the only thing. I can think of no other things that are bad about this motorcycle other than previously mentioned things. Now, who is this bike for? Clearly, you've got to have a lot of riding experience. One, so you can actually ride it like you need to and appreciate it. And two, this bike is a lot. Not only in price, but in ability. And if you try to come into a Pikes Peak and you don't know what you're doing, you are not going to have a good time. I do appreciate the rider modes and all the electronics and stuff like that, but trust me, 170 horsepower and almost 100 foot-pounds of torque will get you in trouble easily with no problem. But yeah, guys, I love this motorcycle. I think any of you guys that can afford this, that meet those requirements that I'm talking about, I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. Ducati has created an absolute gem in this bike, and I ride a lot of motorcycles, and this one is by far my favorite bike on the road, and I do not say that lightly. I take my opinion of bikes very seriously, and I want to help you guys find the right bikes for you. That's why I do the First Ride series. So when I say it's the best bike on asphalt, I legit mean it. But guys, before I get out of here, gotta give a shout out to my guys over at Mountain Motorsports in Roswell. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have this bike to ride around for you guys. So there's gonna be a bike provided by link in the description down below. Make sure to check those guys out. They support me doing first rides for y'all, and they have a giant inventory, and they're located all over North Georgia. Check them out if you are needing your next motorcycle. But guys, I'm Chaseontwowheels. I really appreciate you riding around with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. And if you made it to this point in the video, you're in the outro crew. So after you hit the like button, put OC in your comment and let me know if you agree that this is the best bike to ride on road. And if it's not, you have to tell me what is and why. Make sure to put OC in your comment. And guys, of course, subscribe to the channel if you like motorcycle content. I will see you on the next one. Now, for you guys that love the shit out of this bike like I do, I'm going to leave the press launch video up here at the end of the video so you guys can check it out if you want to see me ride this bike a little more towards the limit. You guys ride safe out there. I'll see you on the next one.